You know Alice in Chains, but back in 1990, they had a huge problem. They were a metal band whose sound was literally too powerful for any studio to handle. Their music was so raw and so different, nobody knew what to do with them. They were stuck between 80s metal and a new insane sound coming out of Seattle. The solution? One producer who wasn't scared of what he heard. This is the insane story of how Alice in Chains and producer Dave Jerden created a legendary album. We're breaking down Facelift. Before Nirvana's Nevermind, before the entire world was obsessed with Seattle, there was Facelift. It dropped on August 21st, 1990, and it didn't explode. It creeped into the mind of the music world. This album was the bridge between two worlds. Built with crushing riffs and harmonies so creepy they sounded like they were coming from a haunted house. This was the sound of a band literally inventing themselves in the studio and creating the blueprint for an entire generation. So how did they pull it off? First, you have to see the insane scene that created them. The end of the 80s was a weird time for rock. It really was. Glam metal was getting old and boring. But under the radar, something way heavier and way more real was starting to bubble up in Seattle. Bands like Soundgarden were already making noise with a sludgy, complicated metal sound. And right into the middle of this, you get Alice in Chains. Jerry Cantrell, Layne Staley, Mike Starr, and Sean Kinney. They looked like a metal band and had all the energy, but their music was just different. It was heavy with the dark vibe of Seattle, which Jerry Cantrell said came from the city itself. Their first demos, called the Treehouse Tapes, got them a record deal with Columbia Records. The label thought they were going to be huge, made them their number one priority, and immediately sent them to a studio. There was just one problem. The band they signed wasn't the Alice in Chains we know today. They were still stuck in their old glam rock style and needed a producer to unlock the beast hiding inside. And then this guy, Dave Jerden, showed up. He had worked with bands like Talking Heads and Jane's Addiction, so he was not a typical metal producer. He was a little bit more on the pop alternative side. But he was an expert at capturing raw energy without cleaning it up. And get this, literally every other big name producer passed on Alice in Chains because they thought Layne Staley's voice was just too weird. But Jerden heard something amazing. He got it. He told Jerry Cantrell an incredible line. Metallica took Tony Iommi and sped him up. What you've done is slowed him down again. Jerry just said, "You got it." And just like that, Jerden was hired. The band went into two legendary studios, London Bridge in Seattle and Capitol in Hollywood. Picked because they were really the only ones that could handle the band's insane volume. Their goal wasn't just to record an album, it was to capture something crazy on tape. In case you're wondering, tape was what they recorded with back in the day. The sessions ran from December 1989 to April 1990 and were all about pure commitment. But what about their drummer, Sean Kinney? What he did was absolutely insane. Right before they started recording, he broke his hand. The band even tried playing with another drummer, but Jerden said it just wasn't right. So, determined to not lose his shot, Kinney cut his own cast off in the studio. He kept a bucket of ice right next to his drums to deal with the pain while he recorded the thunderous drum tracks for the album. That's crazy dedication if you ask me, and it perfectly matched the sound they were creating. Jerden had one simple rule though: commitment. Everything had to be a real performance, recorded on tape. No digital tricks, no fixing it later. The sound they recorded was the final sound, locking in all that raw emotion from the beginning. Let's break down some of the insane tracks that were on this album. First up, we have We Die Young. This song was their opening shot, just a 3-minute explosion of power. Jerry Cantrell said he wrote the lyrics after seeing literal kids, like 10 years old, dealing drugs on his bus ride. And the secret to the album's massive sound was layering. Jerry would record up to 6 guitar tracks for just one part, creating this huge wall of sound that was super heavy, but also super clear. Next, we get Man in the Box, the song that made them superstars. But this is crazy. For 6 whole months, the album sold less than 40,000 copies. It was a complete flop. But then MTV started playing the video for Man in the Box all the time. In just 6 weeks, the album sold another 400,000 copies. The famous talk box guitar effect in the song? That was the producer's idea. Dave Jerden had heard it on Bon Jovi's Livin' on a Prayer and knew it would be an unforgettable hook. Jerry Cantrell said that song was the moment the band found its true sound. But the real secret weapon of the album is the vocals. The chemistry between Layne Staley and Jerry Cantrell was insane. Jerden layered their voices perfectly. Layne's lead vocal was often tripled. That's 3 perfect takes sung on top of each other, while Jerry's harmonies were doubled. This is what created that ghostly, one-of-a-kind sound you hear on the whole album. And Layne was so good, he could record a perfect take in just 1 or 2 tries, which blew the producer's mind. His voice was raw and powerful, but so controlled he could create these insane vocal stacks. Finally, we have Bleed the Freak. Jerry Cantrell said this was their anthem for anyone who has ever been looked down on. And on this track, the rhythm section is just incredible. Sean Kinney, playing with his broken hand, is just a monster on the drums, and Mike Starr's bass gives the riffs this thick, heavy foundation. The song builds and releases so much tension, and Layne's vocals are just soaring and tortured. It's the perfect example of what Jerden saw in them. Not just heaviness, but incredible dynamics and a dark feeling that was totally new. When Facelift came out, it wasn't a smash hit. Nobody knew what to do with it. But its influence was about to be massive. Now, get this. On September 11th, 1991, Facelift became the very first album from the entire Seattle scene to be certified gold. It beat Nirvana's Nevermind by more than 2 months. Facelift literally kicked the door open for the entire grunge movement, proving that millions of people wanted this darker, heavier, more honest rock music. Today, the album is triple platinum in the US. On their first big tour, they opened for thrash metal bands, and the crowds literally threw trash at them because they didn't get the sound. But they didn't care, and they never backed down. And pretty soon, they were opening for Van Halen and winning over thousands of fans. The sound they created on Facelift, the drop-tune guitars, the layered harmonies, the mix of metal and raw emotion, became their signature. The legendary Ozzy Osbourne even called it one of his favorite metal albums of all time. They literally gave their sound a facelift, getting rid of their old style and creating something new, twisted and awesome, just like the album's cover. Facelift is so much more than a debut album. It's a statement. It's the sound of a band that refused to give up. With the help of a producer who believed in them, they took their raw power, broken bones, and personal demons and created an insane sound the world had never heard before. It wasn't just the birth of a new band, it was the birth of an entire sound. So I want to know your favorite track from Facelift. What makes it stand out to you? Let me know in the comments right now. And if you want more insane breakdowns of classic albums, you know what to do. Smash that subscribe button and let me know in the comments which ones you want to do. Thanks for watching.